Thanks, listeners. It is Tuesday and time to get into some Elko City news and issues. There's an in-between regular council meeting, so the next meeting will be on, I think it's 23rd, next Tuesday. So we have a couple of rock stars for guests today from the city of Elko. We have our city fire chief, JJ, James Johnston, alongside our city development manager, Ralph Negron. And you guys exchanged glances like rock stars, JJ. Is that, you hadn't thought about that, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely not the label it's not self-proclaimed. Maybe with Ralph.
Yeah, first time being called that.
Okay, first time. Well, we appreciate your coming on the radio show. These Tuesdays are dedicated to finding out all about city issues, and we really like to meet with the departments, especially during those regular meeting days. And so this is a perfect opportunity. So thank you both for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So, Chief, I guess we'll start with you because I know Ralph said he has just a couple things he wants to bring up, but obviously any of this discussion that includes Ralph will jump right in. But it is that time of year where things start to warm up, which is nice, but then we have all the snowpack to come down, and in some recent years, we've had some issues with flooding. Chief, what can you tell us? Yeah,
this year is going to be significant as far as potential. We still have the same snowpack as last year, not quite as much. We were at 200% last year. We're averaging around 150 for the Rubries and then the surrounding areas. So we still have a lot of flood potential out there to melt. Depends on the weather and the days. Last year was compounded with the atmospheric river we had, which was one after another. We had 4 in a row, which was crazy, but we did pretty well, especially with the city and county coordination. The roads departments and both those did amazing, especially like with the river access to the area. Paul and Algerio and his crew did amazing, blocking drains and keeping the river intact. But we're definitely looking into a couple different options this next year, and it made the budget for an assessment, which is really exciting. That was kind of a big push with Jan. She did awesome to get that on the agenda so we can start looking and probing into projects that we can improve the river resiliency. So we're really excited to have that on there.
Well, we know, Chief Johnston, that infrastructure had been a problem in the past, I think, that big flooding year. But how are we looking for infrastructure now, or is that what this survey would address?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're looking at getting some grant funding, and one of the first things we want to do is have a really sound assessment so we can have project-ready plans that we can pull off the shelf and fund when as available or when grant funding comes to light.
And just a shout out to Paul Algerio and his crew with Public Works, because even in the Tree Street neighborhood, which is aptly named because we have a lot of trees, I noticed that his crews are out almost after any kind of significant rainfall or moisture, and they're clearing those drains, which can clog up and create that low level flooding. Yeah,
that's actually where we had probably the most damage last year, was the flash flooding, or the flooding that occurred away from the river. So yeah, it took a lot. Actually, it was a coordinated event with streets, water, fire. We were clearing drains at some point. So it was, and with the growth that occurs over the springtime and the heavy rains, like the drains get clogged fairly easy. So it's definitely dangerous to go try to clear them out on your own, especially if you don't know the grate is there. We've had people try to do that and they fall in, not in Elko, but in the United States. So something to be aware of, not to just go out there and try to clear them yourself, but maybe call dispatch or call somebody at the street department so we can get someone out there to check it out.
Yeah, that's important too, because regulating the runoff is also significant for the health of the Humboldt River. We see people, with vehicles parked in places, and that actually might impede the runoff, right, and contribute to flooding.
Yeah, it actually, I hate to say it, but common sense really reigns when it comes to combating and coming up with a different plan. We had some really bad runoff on the terraces area, and it really just took 3 sandbags and it diverted a whole business from being saved. So working with people that have experienced it before obviously is a huge plus, and trying to team up and come up with solutions.
All right. So at least going into it, we're in pretty good shape, and the river's at obviously well within its bounds, right?
Yeah, we're at 3.7 right now feet, and then we don't have an action point until 5.5. feet. So we'll probably hit that around May, June, if there's any portion of that to get close, at least with the probabilities. But that's all really up to Mother Nature on how that swells.
All right. Thanks, Chief Johnston. Elko City Fire Chief James Johnston, our guest here today in for our city update. And then we want to talk about something that you and your department, along with other city and now county departments, are doing a lot of pre-planning, right? So that we can respond to emergencies.
Yeah, so the city of Elko, we've been doing it pretty off and on for about the last 15 years, where the crews actually are out in the public surveying different businesses. But now we've formalized the process, and we have crews. Each shift has to do at least 2 to 3 during their course of the month. So you're going to see them in a lot of more businesses now. And we have an electronic system now that can access when the address comes up for a call, and then they can understand where the exits are, then also how to shut power off, any vital information on the structure, which is really handy when it comes to making decisions under hazard-based risk decision-making.
We know that investing in that technology has been a pretty big deal for the fire department in the last, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially notifying our responders. Like, we rely heavily on volunteer and other people to come back in. So it's been nice to have that kind of technology to alert them and get them to the station.
So among the strategies, you're using the threat hazard risk assessment, right? We're in the throes of that, or will be?
Yeah, that's coming up in August, and that's a state-led facilitator that comes in and really goes through what we have in reference to chemical spill, flooding, earthquakes, a lot of the stuff that we experience on a yearly basis, to see the gaps that are created and the resources we need to handle those.
You know, Chief, that's important for residents, not just because if you find yourself in an emergency situation like that, but doesn't it lend to the kind of insurance rating that we have? We know that's been an issue right now in the county for wildfire risk.
Yeah, Chief Peterson and I have tried to team up to combat that. There's a lot of variables working on against our citizens for insurance when it comes in the outlying area. One thing that's been working fairly well about 50% of the time is a letter from the chief stating the ISO rating, stating that we have certain resources in the area. But we're seeing it now in the city. I've had to actually write one the other day for residents that was off of Argent. A lot of insurance companies are doing evaluations of neighborhoods and seeing how many carriers are within the neighborhood or how many policies they have. And they're canceling X amount of policies based on the percentage. So if there was a fire that were to come through an entire neighborhood, that they wouldn't lose all their people that they're covered. So it's an interesting time. We actually have a meeting today with the state fire marshal and then also the state legislator that's going to represent the state fire marshal coming up. And we're trying to get that on some type of lawmaker's radar that we need to do something, because the insurance companies work independently, right? They're out of our control. We've actually met with the realtors, both Chief Peterson and I did last week, 2 weeks ago, and we talked with them to get some coalition building and possibly use their lobbyists to also kind of raise the flag and carry the campaign also. But we're going to need as much help as we can to make sure that the insurance companies can give affordable rates to our citizens. And a lot of the variables they're looking at doesn't even really account into the ISO rating or the stuff that we've been investing in for years. So that's been interesting too, that we're a little disappointed with.
Yeah, it seems as though as consumers, we were given options and we could pick and choose. We would choose the policies and the carriers, and now they're coming in and arbitrarily, in some cases, dropping us.
Yeah, and it's no rhyme or reason either. We can't really figure out what they're using as far as the formula to come up with why that you're dropped, or we're only speculating, especially like with the number of policies hypothesis. So it's been interesting trying to chase that. I do know that it's going to take something that happens at the state level in order for it to even out, because it's a statewide event that's occurring, especially in Tahoe.
Oh, wow. I can imagine there, too, with significant risks. So is there any concern right now, Chief, that we could be left uninsured in some areas, in some neighborhoods?
I don't think that would be an option. I mean, at some point, some insurance company will eventually pick you up. I've never heard of it not happening where you're just uninsured. I know that the prices range. That's definitely a situation that has happened, but we have to be able to stick together on this one because fighting it individually it's not working, and we need to come up with some type of solution as far as the offered insurance carrier and then how much they're going to cover. And
you've said that Elko is involved in that. We're working at a state level right now?
Yeah, actually, both Chief Peterson and I are on the state board for for the state fire chiefs. And we have a lobbying group that helps us with that too. And it's kind of cool that Elko's so well represented in the state. There's a Vegas chief and a Reno chief, but Elko has 2 on the board, which is pretty significant. And so we're trying to get a lot of the issues that we face that other agencies don't, and this is definitely one of them, especially with the people we protect.
Mm-hmm. I know in our ongoing conversations with Clint Mothershed from Elko BLM, he's certainly been working on this issue for a long time, not necessarily the insurance aspect, but getting communities to be fire safe and fire ready.
Yeah, and that's another program that's been amazing, especially when you talk about defensible space and getting protectable land. Also, another partner that we're trying to take to the table, BLM and the federal relationship, that it seems to be like the insurance companies are kind of doing their own thing, which is a little bit scary for us right now.
So I guess in rounding out this subject, Chief, what do you recommend or what have you been able to do when people get those letters? I guess the first initial feeling is maybe a little, they're disappointed and maybe upset, but they're also maybe worried.
Yeah, and like I said, the letter from the chief or calling each of our agencies. If you live in the city, feel free to call the fire department at the City of Elko Fire Department. If you live in the county, I know Chief Peterson has made it aware that you can give him a call, and we have a draft letter that we will send to the next insurance company that you'd like to apply for, stating the resources around it, and then also the variables that we can provide, such as ISO rating, nearest hydrant, all the information that would help you out. The big thing that scares us is the mapping that they're using to find the rating. It's a really generalized map, and basically all of Elko County is under high wildland fire risk, which isn't fair to, say, neighborhoods that are well protected, especially with an organized fire department.
And fire hydrants.
Yep.
I heard that there was huge sections that they just completely left off fire hydrants.
Yep.
In their consideration. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Chief, for bringing us up to date on that aspect, because, again, that is concerning going into wildfire season. And you really touched on that, too, that even within the city and communities, there are things that we need to be doing to get our homes fire safe because embers can travel.
Yeah, and definitely having your yard cleaned up is a major portion of that, and making sure the brush and weeds are back from fences. We see that a lot within the city. A lot of times those are places where fire starts, and if you have a joining fence with your neighbor, that could cause a lot of problems as well, especially to your structure.
And then, Chief, we also want to talk about any new equipment or new fire station. That was mentioned. It's on the city's master plan for a new fire station.
Yeah, we've been pushing that for a while, and then also the county's pushing for another station as well. Hopefully we get the airport planning study back, and then also we have a lot of needs within the city, especially a new city hall. That's definitely on the radar as well. So there's a few projects ahead of us, but hopefully we can get there and get it funded. We're looking at a lot of different options. So,
Chief, who is providing structure protection or even wildfire in places that are really growing right now, either within the city, like the North 5th Street area, Cattle Drive, and some of that looks to be urban interface. It might not be clear if it's city or county.
Yeah, with it, well, we have such a really good relationship with our county fire department, especially with their wildland fire division, that they've beefed up the last 3 years that have almost tripled their staffing. So we definitely work together with a wildland fire risk. We help them out on this side of the mountain with our volunteer, and then some major responses. So it's a win-win situation when we come to resources to try to get the closest resource to the problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we know, Chief, that is the responsibilities of counties and municipalities is, emergency services and providing safety. I mean, that's basically it. You can politicize government as much as you want, but I think the budget has over 50% goes to public safety, right?
Right. And then, in order to make that happen, we have to have agreements and relationships built so we can have the resources that we have, get to the scene and make sure that they handle whatever's going on.
Yeah. And I think, too, just the thoughts of how much Chief Peterson has done, as you mentioned, to bring the department along. We hear grumbling from time to time about being handed an unfunded mandate, but it really is our responsibility to take care of our citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Elko's always been a little conservative when it comes to staffing, and that's fine. We just want to make sure that we're safe, the citizens are safe, and we're always trying to get to a level that is better than where we're at. So, but affordable, right? Too, right? We have to be realistic and respect the tax base and the taxpayer on what they're willing to shovel out for public safety.
Our fire chief is James Johnston, and he's in for the city of Elko today. Thanks, Chief, for bringing us up to date on all those important things that you're working on. And again, just the reality and the responsibility. And that's what makes the city, I think, unique, too, in that all of the departments, you work together. You come together for budget meetings, and you actually sort of triage among the departments and just help each other decide what the priorities are.
Yeah, that's been, especially with capital improvements, right? That's been over the years that has tended to been a little cutthroat, but now it's kind of a seamless process where everybody understands what's available and then how much we can do and improve each of our departments to make it so we can function.
So it's nice to have that communication. So another topic, and that might bring in Ralph too, is I know we're going to talk about cleanup, green up, and that's a huge way to mitigate fire risk. But we had a major incident was it only the end of February, I guess, right around there, our train derailment in the city. And what we may have learned from that, I know we learned that we're awfully fortunate that it turned out the way it did. That's one thing. But did you want to talk about, the plans for that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that was a very significant event. And I think one of the things that people missed out of that, more importantly, is that the decisions made were to benefit the safety of our community, right? Like shutting down the 12th Street Bridge, just like we talked about that day, right? Like those decisions were made on the side to err that everyone was going to be safe. And we're definitely sorry that people were late for work. But I'll take late and safe over a lot of other options that were definitely unknown at that time. The decisions came later with people that we could trust and that we had well-qualified people making an evaluation of the bridge and professionals that do that for a living, and that's why we waited. And actually, within the amount of time that it took to get open, I was pretty impressed for the decisions to come down that quickly. So. And UP and DOT, they all worked well together. It was really a well-organized incident as far as that goes. The potential, though, was definitely high, right? If that train would have been carrying a hazardous material or some other type of element, then we would probably had a different strategy going forward, maybe evacuations or however that looked. And so we've been planning that, too, and that's one of the things we'll talk about in the THIRA. Are the resources we have, what we need, and how to deal with those things. But those are definitely incidents that show our vulnerabilities, and that's one of them, right? Like personnel-wise, the amount of people we have versus how much it would take to deal with something like that.
We do know a lot of people came out to help within various departments, both city and county, in that situation too. And Chief, I think any reasonable person understands. I mean, safety comes before inconvenience. That's for sure. So while it was an inconvenient day, we all came out unscathed relatively, other than the inconvenience of being late or delayed or upset over, traffic being snarled. So.
Right.
And we did learn some things again because we know this summer, and that's why I was thinking between you and Ralph, there'll be a couple of inconveniences, and it's all in the name of progress. So we'll talk about that. But 12th Street Bridge is going to be refurbished, and so that might give us a chance to maybe do another drill, right? Going into the later in the summer?
We're going to have a lot of functional drills this year. I think the most that we've ever had in the history of our fire department. So we're going to have a hazmat drill that we're going to do with the CST, which is the civil support team, and then we've teamed up with the DOE for a radiation drill. We've teamed up with the DOT to do a live extrication and a huge crash drill, and then also the GBC drill that's going to occur for the trauma symposium. So those are 4 major functional events within the city of Elko. So it's kind of crazy that they coincide this year. With the bridge, we haven't really discussed per se what the topic is or how we're going to handle, or even what the closures are. Ralph was just mentioning it's kind of a little too early to tell like how that'll be affected. But we did notice some of the traffic patterns from the last incident, and we've come up with a little bit different plan to try to utilize people a little bit better, and maybe even take the lights away and have people at intersections. So that's definitely being worked on.
Thanks, Chief. Did we get to most of what you were hoping to talk to today? What's on your list?
Everything.
Everything?
Yep.
Everything and more. We like to hear that.
Maybe even some of Ralph's stuff. So.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't want to leave Ralph out because he's been waiting so patiently. Ralph Negron is our Elko City Development Manager, and I will go ahead and switch over to Ralph. There we go. Hey, thanks for being here again, Ralph. And anything out of the Chief's topics that really, I saw you were nodding a few times, and in fact, you were chuckling a couple of times because you kind of know the pain that the fire department went through and the bridge derailment for sure.
They really did, and that was quite the effort, team effort to get through that process. I mean, yeah, definitely an impact to everyone. Something that, it's unforeseen, but gosh, we went through it, got through it, and safety was the number one thing that we need to really think about, and it's safety for everybody there. So
can you imagine if just one carload or just one injury as a result of saying, well, we don't want to inconvenience people?
Yeah,
so,
that's exactly right. We got to take these steps, and we got to make sure that that everybody's safe, our structures are safe to keep the future going.
So, Ralph, that ties in with, as Chief Johnston said, we don't know a lot about our 12th Street Bridge being refurbished yet. That'll come later in the summer. It
will. Okay. And those are some things that I know Scott is still working through some things there. There's some bidding. It is going to happen. We don't know exactly the time frame. And, again, there's going to be a lot of notification. So we're going to be very transparent on how we move through this and just keep the public informed at all times on it.
All right. Another thing that you're going to be working hard on with the city planning department, and why you're perfect for the job, Ralph, is because you are a cheerful, positive, optimistic person, and you're going to help everybody understand getting through this sidewalk project downtown.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough project. It really is going to impact a lot of the businesses, right? So, tomorrow at 4 p.m. at the City Hall. Basically, business owners, anybody can just show up. We're going to discuss the whole project. We're going to discuss the impacts. We're going to go through all the building plans of, the sidewalk, the trees, everything that's going in. We really want to show, the effort that's going into this. It's going to be at the end of the day, it's going to be a great project. But we are going to see some impacts. And so those are things that we need to work through with all these businesses, because we want to try to make it as best as possible. We realize that there are going to be impacts, though.
And that'll be primarily in that downtown corridor area, if you want to remind us of the specifications of it.
Yeah, so it's Railroad and Commercial Street, right? And so basically, it's all sidewalk replacement. It's going to have new vegetation. It'll have brand new trees. But also, we are going to be replacing some of the infrastructure, sewer, water, asphalt, curb gutter. So it's definitely a lot of work. We're anticipating it's going to be about a 150-day project. That's what we're kind of looking at. It's already out to bid. Bids are due this Friday. So we are hoping by the RDA meeting next week that we will, if all the bids are good and we have no issues, then we will award that bid next week.
What is the price range you're hoping to come in, Ralph, in case there's anybody out there listening or bidding on this? Yeah.
I think it's right around a $2 million mark, but again, there's a lot to this.
Right. And again, it's an RDA project, so there's a lot of investment and buy-in. It's the businesses that have helped to create a vibrant downtown that are now going to see a return on that, Ralph?
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. So this is a great project. It's really going to clean up these really goofy sidewalks that we've had out there for 50, 60 years. Kathy Laughlin has been leading this whole initiative, and she's done a good job with it. And so we're really excited to get it off the ground. We want to get it going.
All right. So that'll be a 4:00 meeting at City Hall on Wednesday, the 17th.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So we'll hit that hard, and then that leads us into, there's a little thing happening on Saturday, right?
We do. We have our green up cleanup. So far we have about 600 volunteers. So we're looking really, really good. Pretty excited about it. So basically, I'm just going to give you a little rundown. So 7:45, we're going to do a safety briefing. We just, during that briefing, we want to make sure, again, it's all about safety, right? If you see something, if there's glass, if there's syringes, if there's stuff out there, please don't pick it up. Everybody's going to have my telephone number. We'll make those coordinations to send somebody down there to get that picked up. Then at 8:00, everybody goes to their designated areas, and it's basically all the city of Elko. Everybody gets dispersed. We have the event center, we have Johnny Appleseed Park, North 5th Street. I mean, they're going to be all over the place. So it's really good. We have a lot of volunteers, so it's been good. Between 9 and 1, we have a prescription drug roundup. That's going to be behind the Chamber of Commerce with PACE Coalition. And then also 7 a.m. to 4:30, it's free landfill day. So it's a free dump. People can go over there. I know, it might be a little bit of a wait, but it's worth it. You get to clean up your yard and you get the dump for free. And then, let's see. And then there's also going to be half-off shredding services at Ruby Mountain Resource Center. So that's a good thing. And then basically we're going to have lunch. And at that lunch, we are going to have some donations that were given to us by Home Depot, IFAs, and then so we have some barbecues to give away, some planning packages, just as a thank you during this raffle. So we think that's going to be a good thing. So
cool. And that's for all the people that registered, right? I mean, you do need to register to be eligible for prizes and lunch.
Yep. Okay. And if you want to just show up that day, we can get you registered that morning.
Wow, 600. That is an army of people willing to dig in. And whether you're picking up trash, I mean, little kids can do that, obviously, with their families. Yep. That's what makes it so nice. And again, it's not a huge block of time.
It's 4 hours, and it's not a big, I think it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sunscreen.
And some sunscreen might be required, yes.
Yeah, sunscreen and water. That sounds nice for a change. So.
Yeah, we have Las Brisas serving lunch for us, so that'll be good.
Wow, that's wonderful. They have been to so many nice things. I know they were serving at the speech and debate, at which I volunteered. That was cool. Yeah. So, we have our food trucks now. Yep. Awesome. Yeah. Yep. Well, very cool, Ralph. Again, go to elkocity.com, right, to register?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you're ready, and then we have great prizes. It's just a wonderful, and if you don't have a team, don't worry, because you'll get either assigned a place, right? Or
absolutely. Yeah. Okay. You can come as an individual, bring a group of people. Yeah, we have plenty of stuff, plenty of areas to clean up. So yeah, please come.
And we really have to thank, this harkens back to when Delmo Andriozzi was with the city. I don't know if you remember that, Ralph, if you were in the community at the time.
I don't think I was.
Yeah, so Delmo he was, one of his daughters, I think was a toddler or something. She was quite young, and she complained about the mess, that she was downtown, and she was dismayed because there were some things on the ground. And so he said, well, why don't we all just get together and clean it up? So,
right.
Yeah, so it was born.
Okay.
A long time ago.
All right. Okay.
So I think, Yeah. So his daughters, I think, are both married now. So that tells you how long we've been doing this, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's the 21st year.
Wow. That's fantastic. So
Something like that.
does that sound about right, James?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You'll have fire crews out, I'm sure, out and about, and
Yeah,
or standing by anyway, in case
most-
anybody needs a Band-Aid.
yeah. Most everybody has their own organization they go. I think I'll be helping with Rotary. So
Oh, nice.
yeah. Well, I think we got the Johnny Appleseed.
You do. So
Yeah, yeah.
You have a lot of sanding and staining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and everybody will be missing former city manager Curtis Calder because he used to head up Johnny Appleseed for the Rotarians. Yeah, that was a big project for them. So, yeah. Not that he's just not in the position anymore. He's fine. He's doing great things. He's more than fine, I think. So he's enjoying his retirement. So very cool.
I don't think he's retired anymore, though.
I don't think,
think so.
he's
Yeah, I
always
think he
doing
went to
stuff.
Boise. Yeah.
Well, they're in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he got hired at the Boise airport.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
I
He's
believe
he's
so,
going to
yeah.
be back there. Oh, he
Yeah.
just can't get enough of city government.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, gentlemen, did we get to all the things today? I sure hope so. Yeah?
I think so.
Okay.
So,
Just wanted to mention there is a very cool Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting. That's on Thursday. So following the Wednesday meeting, 4 o'clock, City Hall, to go over the big sidewalk improvement project downtown. Parks and Recreation Advisory will meet Thursday, the 18th, 6:30 p.m., and they love to have public comments or people there to kind of see. There's going to be that presentation regarding the expansion project for the museum within the main city park. And we know it was given initial city approval from the council, but this is still an opportunity for Parks and Rec to weigh in because it does involve parks property, and so the community will be interested to see how that project's shaping up. And then they're going to talk about the 5-year plan for capital projects. And I know the pickleballers, is that the right thing to call them?
I think so.
Okay. The pickleball players will be there in full force because, as we discussed at a previous meeting, they're on a different timeline. So they don't want to wait 5 years if possible. So
Right.
hopefully it can all come together. Yeah, they're in a different timeline, which is great. Pickleball is a sport that involves people of all ages, by the way. So, Chief, thank you so much for being on the program.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Ralph?
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today for our Elko Live radio show here on KELK. We sure appreciate your time.